So last summer, we heard from a friend that their neighbor was planning on selling. For this story, let's call that house Ridge Road. My wife Shelby had a great initial phone call with the seller and set an appointment with them to come out and see the property. But on the morning of our meeting, they texted her saying they were going a different route and had to cancel. Of course, a couple weeks later, we saw Ridge Road pop up on the market, listed for $400,000 more than what they had told us they wanted. Since we hadn't seen the property, we were eager to see the photos, and they were bad. Really bad. The agent they hired had clearly used his cell phone, and we know because you could see him taking a photo in the reflection of a mirror. On top of that, in a picture in the kitchen, their 10-year-old daughter was getting up from a chair, but at a quick glance, it looks like a child was just bent over in the background. And to put it mildly, it was totally unprofessional. So after the house sat on the market for 6 long months, they reached back out to us. Of course, we were curious, so we had to ask why they chose that agent in the first place. As you can imagine, it was someone they already knew. But the agent they hired wasn't a full-time professional. He just had his license to sell the houses he was flipping. Now, the problem isn't that he flips homes. The problem is that he didn't know how to do the single most important part of a listing agent's job, and that's marketing. Now, you're probably thinking, wait, he's a flipper. He sells his own home, so he must know how to market. But here's a little industry secret for you. For the vast majority of agents, their marketing strategy is to get some photos taken, put the house on the MLS, and let it automatically syndicate to Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com, and that's it. And yes, every agent does that, but that strategy only targets the tiny 2 to maybe 5% of people who are in the buy now mode. So what about that other 95% of potential buyers out there? Well, let me show you what I mean. Think of potential buyers being in a funnel. At the very bottom, you have 2 to 5% who are buying now. Above them, you have people considering a move or just casually looking, scrolling at different homes for sale online. And at the very top, you have a huge, maybe 65 or 70% of people who aren't even thinking about moving or buying another house. Now, listing it in the MLS will reach most of the people at the bottom of the funnel. But if that's all your agent does, your home will be completely invisible to everyone else who might actually be interested in buying it. And you might think, but those people at the top aren't looking to buy. Well, when we finally sold Ridge Road, the buyers told us something pretty fascinating. They said, it's funny, we weren't even considering moving, but when we saw your video, we just had to come see the property. They were in that unaware category at the very top of the funnel. Great marketing pulls people from all parts of the funnel and turns them into buyers. And this is the truth. The skills that make an agent great with buyers are not the same skills that make them great at listing a home. A true listing agent is a marketing expert. Period. So if you're thinking about selling and want to be connected with an agent in your area who is in the top 10% and actually understands modern marketing, there's a link in the description below. We'll connect you with our network of proven rockstar agents so you can avoid this exact situation. So with that in mind, what does good marketing actually look like? Before we go back to the Ridge Road story, I got a quick warning for you. Don't be fooled by agents who just sell a lot of houses. That often just means they're likable and have a lot of local connections. Most people do business with the first agent they meet, even if that person isn't the best choice to handle their largest financial asset, their house. So what did we do differently at Ridge Road? It all started with the prep. When Shelby went to the initial appointment, she spent 2 full days creating an itemized room-by-room list of everything that needed to be moved, packed, and repaired. We're talking 575 photos just during the walkthrough to document every last detail. The sellers busted their butts to get it ready, and it made all the difference for sure. Now, your agent's job isn't to pack for you, but they should be your project manager. Ask them for their prep plan. If they don't have one, that's a huge red flag. Once the house was prepped, we moved on to marketing. Now, that first agent used his cell phone. Of course, we hired a professional for photos and drone shots, but in today's market, photos aren't really enough. You need video, and not just any video. Let me give you the perfect example. We were recently at a closing representing our buyers, sitting at the table with the sellers and their agent. The seller was raving about the video that their agent had made for the house. So of course, we were curious, so we asked to see it. And let me tell you, This video was boring. It almost put me to sleep. It was just one of those slow panning shots with background music. And honestly, the number of people who would actually watch more than 3 seconds of that is extremely low nowadays. And this brings up a huge point. Because the video was bad, there would be no use in putting advertising dollars behind it. You'd just be paying to show more people a video that they won't watch anyway. Great advertising is useless if the creative or the video itself isn't compelling. But in this case, it was even worse. Not only was the video bad, they didn't even try to advertise. I looked for it online later so I could show you, and it turns out it was only posted on the MLS, which doesn't send its videos to Zillow or Homes or Realtor.com. So you have two massive failures here. First, a bad video no one would finish watching, and second, no advertising to even give it a chance. It's a perfect example of what not to do. So how can you tell if a video is good and if the agent knows how to actually advertise that video? First, just watch it. Does it hold your attention? More importantly, does it showcase the house? Or is it all about the agent? Let's take the example of a realtor who does comedy bits in her listing videos. I can promise you she gets tons of business from it, but, and this is a big but for you as the seller, who is the center of attention? Is it the house or is it her comedy? Think about who the social media algorithms are showing that video to. They're showing it to people who like comedy. And I watch her videos because she's hilarious, but am I there to buy that specific house or any house? No. I'm just there for entertainment. I barely even notice that she is showing a house. So while she gets hundreds of thousands of views and likely has plenty of people saying, "You're hilarious, please be my agent," how many of those calls are actual serious inquiries for the house in the video? It's a subtle but pretty critical difference. So if you're interviewing an agent like that, you need to ask a very specific question. Can you show me the results you got for the house you advertised, not just the number of new clients you got from the video? Now, I have huge respect for her marketing skills for her own brand, but your goal is to market your home. When you interview an agent, ask for results for that specific property, not just vanity metrics like views. Now for Ridge Road, we created a video designed to hook someone in seconds and tell a compelling story about the property, not about us. Then we put a bunch of money behind it. Organically on Instagram, the video got about 8,700 views. That's great. But with paid ads on Facebook and Instagram, we reached over 45,000 people. Here's the crazy part. For just over $600 in ad spend, people watched our video for a combined total of 160 hours. That's the equivalent of a full-time employee showing your home for 4 straight weeks. We paid just $3.85 per hour for that marketing work. Now that is the power of running ads the right way. And there is a wrong way to do it. It's called boosting a post. I don't want to dive too deep into this, but when an agent does this, it shows the video to people who are likely to visit their social media profile. Now compare that to using an ads manager account. I can target people who are likely to ask for more information about the property. Hopefully I still have you. Where did the actual buyer come from after all of that for Ridge Road? The paid ads generated a ton of leads. About 60 serious inquiries and 24 people came through our open house. But the buyer actually came from a friend of the seller who saw the video after one of the seller's friends proudly shared it on their Facebook profile. And that's the lesson. We make our marketing good enough that homeowners are proud to share it. A blurry cell phone photo doesn't get shared. Professional, engaging videos do, not the slow panning, with background music. That stuff is boring. In the end, we sold Ridge Road for $880,000. And even though that was under list price, it was still $80,000 more than what the seller originally told us that they wanted before they hired the wrong agent. And you have to understand, this wasn't just any property. Ridge Road was extremely unique. It had 2 houses, an in-ground pool, 2 hot tubs, over 17 acres of land, and it required a very specific buyer who was willing to take on a ton of maintenance to run that property. This wasn't just a home for anybody. Now, pricing an extremely unique home or any home can be difficult. So if you want to learn about our pricing strategy for Ridge Road, watch this video.